every anti-corruption protest that was requested from the police office, the IGP has rejected.
Yes.
Every anti-corruption, but other protests have been approved.
Exactly.
Why do you think the government is so adamant in having to hear from its citizens when it comes to anti-corruption issues?
Because up to the highest level of the government, they are complicit in corruption. They don't want transparency in it. They will be implicated. This is what we found in this investigative report. They wanted to bury this, want people to forget about it. You know, so when they couldn't do that, when they couldn't succeed, the president had no choice. Like I said, his appearance in front of camera was like a hostage under duress. He had no choice. Staying silent would have been far more costly for him politically. That's why he came out and spoke. Not because he wanted to reveal what happened, but because he had no choice. So the government, through the IGP, has been systematically and consistently denying protests for one and only one reason. Because those protests they are going to shed light on things they would rather prefer to remain buried. They are not interested in transparency. They are not interested in truth. What they want to do is keep things buried, protect complicit and corrupt officials. And this corruption has reached to the highest level of the government, including the State House.
Now, the young people, 27 of them were arrested. And what really stood out for me was this. When they started arresting them, if they near killing arrest them, they were not arrested, they were not scared. And that is very, very worrying and scary.
Exactly.
Police exactly. But today, it's a law. Exactly. And it galvanized the entire youth population. If you are at Westfield, you'll be worried. Even when they went to engage them, they said, we are not leaving until our people are released. Exactly. All of them. Exactly. Until, in fact, we're not asking for them to be released. We want them to be released and brought to us here. Yeah. And the government just did just that. They had to, do what the youths wanted. The president came out and he said, and my thing is, okay, this has been the case in Sirif Mahmoud's case.
Exactly.
The orders from the Santolo. Kabiri, we pointed fingers to the State House. They said the president has no role in this. But Kabiri Sirif Nyola case dropped. They had to go to negotiate at State House. Exactly. What is this telling us? Are we back to square one, from where directives have to come from higher office for the police to implement, and then when they want them to reverse, it has to come there again? Exactly. This is what people fought for to be able to get to 2026. Exactly. Are we back to square one, Dr. Gajio?
No, things have not changed. So, but going back to your initial part again, I also noticed that the youth who were going to protest, they were not scared of being arrested.
Yeah.
And in fact, they knew the arrest was unlawful, and they saw it as a badge of honor to be detained for doing something right. What does that tell you? It means that unlike these government officials, the senior level, including those in the president's own cabinet who are sitting in their position just for money and the salaries they get, and the positions and the titles they get, these youth actually believe in a higher cause. And when you are fighting for a higher cause, elements of this corrupt regime don't scare you. In fact, to be arrested by corrupt and incompetent and through illegal tactics is actually a badge of honor. If anything, it validates what you are doing, because it shows that no matter what the cost is, you are willing to go and sacrifice your freedom for a for a cause that is more than just that just goes beyond you as a person. So for me, that was a very powerful image to see, and I think something like that, because this, why it scares the government is that these are people, unlike Cisse and Sabali, these people cannot be bought. They cannot be intimidated by a few arrests. Even if we give them money, they will not. I know some of those youth have even been contacted by people in the president's party and others. But what they don't realize is these people are not like them. There are people in this country also, despite the preponderance, not the preponderance, despite the large number of people who are into politics or in government for transactional reasons, for their personal benefit. There are still people in these countries who believe in a higher good, who believe in something that, who are patriotic at heart. And this is the example of what we've seen with these youth. Going back to your latter part about what is happening here, the president actually said, Nkoye Ebola. Now, you should ask yourself, if you are telling them now to release those people, no, then you have to take responsibility for their arrest in the first place. Then we have the right to ask you, were the police wrong in denying them permit, and were they wrong in arresting them? If that is the case, if you are telling them to be released, and the police were wrong in denying them permit and arresting them, then what is the consequence, the repercussion on the police, the IGP and the police officers? Or the IGP, I won't say the police officers because they are following orders, but the IGP or the Minister of Interior, the people who are supposed to be involved in making those decisions about denying the permit. What is the consequences they are going to face for denying people their constitutional right to protest peacefully? Because those people didn't plan on and didn't do any destruction of property, didn't disrupt anything. The things only got out of hand when they were denied what was their constitutional right. And you are absolutely correct that here we are seeing a repeat of something that we thought we had gone beyond. If somebody wants to protest against this, what is wrong with... we just had a big music festival on Kairaba Avenue. The stage wasn't dismantled until 3 p.m. on Monday. That was a bigger disturbance of public order in our most important financial street. That road was blocked until 3 p.m. on Monday. Those people, the demonstration that the GALA youth wanted to make that day, was it going to have the same degree of disruption as a stage, unassembled stage on Kairaba Avenue? No. Because you prevented that. Your government, your IGP, acting on information they got, whether it was formal information or through some understanding, some unspoken or written understanding, they actively prevented the march of youth who were trying to do their something that is permissible constitutionally. Yet you prevented that. And you stand before the nation trying to seem magnanimous by saying that you asked the police to release them. Now, if they didn't do anything wrong, then there should be consequences for them being arrested, detained, and denied their constitutional right.
The irony, though, is this. On Thursday, when they went out to protest, they were the first people they arrested were even less than 20. They had not started protesting. They were just sitting there waiting for their colleagues, and they got arrested, taken away in the second batch and the third batch. But the following day, on Friday, when they went to Westfield, they did not have a permit. There were more people. Exactly. But the police instead accompanied them, even though they did not have a permit.
Yes.
On Saturday, there were even bigger crowds in Westfield, in Brikama, and somewhere in Sanyang. Exactly. Again, no permit. Yes. The police did not arrest them. Yeah. But you arrested them on Thursday.
Yes. So what does that tell you? That you were arresting these people before that? Because now it becomes clear why they denied the permit and why they arrested. They want to squash this thing. They wanted the conversation about all of these assets, how they were illegally disposed of, the questionable roles of senior government officials. They wanted everything swept under the rug. The president coming out, this parliamentary committee being set up, or whatever they are going to ask the national audit to do, these are all things that they are doing under duress. Their hands have been forced. Just like when I brought up my issue on the Senegambia Bridge, they didn't want any details of that. That incompetent Minister of Finance, Mr. Sidi Keita, they wanted everything buried. But it was only after I, over a series of interviews and articles, I brought out all the horrendous things that they put in that contract. They were forced to release the contract. But even then, people should know, they didn't release all the documents I told them, I insisted upon. The key document that is still out there that they should be releasing is the financial model, because that financial model would show that the amount of money we are losing in that bridge, the value of that is more than the value of every single road constructed by Adama Barrow since he came to power.
Oh my God.
So again here, they will just give sufficient, they'll do sufficient set of actions to try to quell public anger and then hope that another event would come and people will forget about this. So this National Assembly committee that's going to work, or whatever additional action the president has promised, it is just a diversion. Once these things quiet down, they'll completely forget about it. So people shouldn't have any expectation that anything would happen, because for 6 years, nothing happened.
Nothing happened. And this whole saga, though, especially the commission, what really saddens me, you said it earlier, how they're trying to politicize some of it. For example, and I tell people, I don't even know how Ami Bensouda became the center of all of this, because it is the Janneh Commission, right? That's the name. The Janneh Commission, meaning Surahata Janneh is the head of the commission. He's the boss of all the people there. And there have been over 5 commissioners. I don't remember how many. Some of them I still don't even know I don't know their names. But it looks like at some point now, the center is all revolving around one person. And a lot of people believe because that is politics. And this is our problem in this country. Instead of looking at where the problem is, it's like, who do I agree with politically and who do I not agree with politically? To the point we always miss the point. Because I said this to somebody, the commissioners, the secretary of the commission was hired by the president. The commissioners, it was through National Assembly and recommendation, blah, 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 the president, the Minister of Justice, everybody in the commission, they were clients of the Gambia government. They were working for the Gambia government. Indirectly, this commission is the commission of the Gambia government. Now, if the Gambia government itself is saying that they had issues with the commission, people that they hired, people that they oversaw their work and approved it and took recommendations from their work, today they're telling us a different story, says a lot. And, you know, I have seen also where people have said the commissioners should come out and defend. I have seen Batambedu said the commission did an amazing job and they handed over everything. He said that on a Star interview, Star TV interview. Now, and I think a lot of us also believe that the commission did their part. It was the next step that was not properly done. Now, the thing is, somebody was saying to me, for ethical reasons, the commissioners were working on behalf of for the government, and they handed over their work to the government. If the government ever had any issues with their work, the government should have relayed that to the commission. Or whatever, or take legal actions or investigations on their work. But that never happened. Who should we hold accountable here? Should we politicize this? Because this is what's happening right now. It looks like this is the debate. Instead of us focusing on what the Republic uncovered and the processes, who did what, now it has turned over to be this political battle that we have seen now, especially on social media.
Well, I mean, it's not surprising it's become a political battle, because here is something that is going to be something very harmful to the current government.
Yeah.
So obviously all their political allies and are going to find a way to try to blunt its impact, or if possible, try to basically shift the blame onto other people.
Yeah.
And as partisan individuals, the easiest thing for that is to look for another political party, for that to, I mean, one thing that might help them in this case, that the Attorney General who was actually implicated is no longer in government, so they have been very quiet, not defending him directly,
but defending the cabinet subcommittee, which he was part of.
He was part of, but they're only defending that because there are 2 of those members are still existing members of the cabinet.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the only reason. But believe me, if that was if all of those members of that committee are no longer in government, they wouldn't even be defending that. Yeah, so right now, the only thing they are doing is making sure that the blame is shifted away from the government. And the easiest way to do that is, they will not come out directly and blame Batambedu, though is quite complicit here. Their hope would be for all the blame to be on Batambe and other people, as if they are just innocent bystanders, instead of being the government that should take central responsibility here. Yeah, it just shows you the level of, the abdication of responsibility that these people are demonstrating here, that they don't even have a sense of shame and embarrassment to try to push this sort of argument, as if they have been sleeping at the wheels, So here, I mean, it is sad, but not unexpected that it has become partisan. I mean, it's something that should be expected, that the president and his supporters will want to shift the blame to anyone that is not in government and that is not NPP.
Wow.
Yeah, so that is to be expected. The thing, though, that we, the general public, should bear in mind is that here we have a situation where this very government, whether or not the cabinet member implicated is in the government or not, but the person who appointed him, who has ultimate responsibility, is still heading the country.
The buck stops with the president.
Yes. And to the extent that things that needed to be done by this government didn't take place, that responsibility still rests with this current government. The current government is still the same government, irrespective of the identity or the changes in the ministerial posts, in their individual posts. That doesn't change the fact that you have a government headed by Adama Barrow that has been in power since 2017. And that government has failed the country in many ways, but it's particularly in this case, by not implementing the Janneh Commission. Again, like I said, I don't have the authority and the background to say whether or not Janneh Commission did its job 100%. But from a layman perspective, as far as I think they did it well, that reasonable questions can be raised about the value that they got for certain assets they did. I think that one is a legitimate question.
That's a very legitimate question.
Yes, and but in terms of doing the investigation, digging, bringing things to light, documenting things, providing the government with clear recommendations, I think we can commend them for doing that. The entity here that has failed us is Adama Barrow and his government. And he has to carry that responsibility. And his performance after the youth protest is just, it's a way of shifting blame. And, I don't think the Gambian people will be fooled. And I've spoken to some of those youth people who have listened to it. None of them are fooled. They all know what the government is trying to do, what President Barrow is trying to do. They are trying to shift blame to others. And they are not taking responsibility.
Dr.